Russian spy worked at the United States Embassy in Moscow for a decade before being discovered. Our global affairs correspondent, Elise Labin, is working the story for us. She's got details. Elise, what are you learning?
Wolf, this is a Russian woman who's been working at the U.S. Embassy for almost a decade. She was hired by the State Department, as all these so-called Foreign Service nationals are, but she worked for the Secret Service, had access to a lot of information going on at the embassy. And, officials at the embassy, regional security officers, they're called, they started to realize that, all of these Foreign Service nationals have some relationships with Russian government agencies. But they seemed to find that a lot of information was going to the FSB, the main Russian security apparatus. And they realized that they were getting a lot more information than they should have. The regional security officer found this about in 2016, reported it up the chain, and several months later, she was caught red-handed and dismissed.
So she was a foreign national. She was a Russian citizen working at the U.S. Embassy, not a U.S. Foreign Service officer, which is a career diplomat. There's a huge difference.
A Russian citizen.
She's a Russian citizen. So how exactly was she caught?
Well, she was caught. Basically, they did a sting on her. They started giving her information, and she ended up giving it to the FSB. And once they caught her red-handed, she was quietly dismissed. They didn't make a big case of it. They weren't able to arrest her because she was a Russian citizen, but certainly the Russian government wasn't very happy about it.
And so when she was suspected of being a spy, presumably they gave her some information to see if she would distribute it to the Russian intelligence community, and they quickly discovered she was.
That's right. They gave her, originally she was giving, it wasn't a lot of information here and there. It was just in dribs and drabs. And then they realized that the FSB was getting a lot more information than they should. This woman had access to the intranet of the U.S. Secret Service, the president's schedule, the vice president's schedule, the email system. We asked the Secret Service whether any national security information was compromised. One official told me that this woman didn't have access to classified information. The Secret Service laid out a statement that said the duties are limited to translation, interpretation, cultural guidance, liaison, and administrative support. At no time in any Secret Service office have Foreign Service nationals been provided or placed in a position to obtain national security information. But Wolf, again, she had access to the intranet, the information that all Secret Service employees that aren't on a specific detail have access to, as well as the email system.
Yeah, she's worked at the U.S. Embassy in Moscow for nearly a decade. We're going to continue to monitor this story and see the latest information. Elise, thanks very much for that reporting. Coming up, there's more breaking news. The White House brings out top intelligence and national security officials in a dramatic show of force, warning that Russian attacks on the U.S. democracy continue right now, posing a direct threat to the upcoming midterm elections. Is the president on board? And she was aggressively flirtatious. And sources say boasted of ties to Russian intelligence when she drank too much. Now there's new information on the alleged Russian agent arrested in Washington. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.